Please help me welcome Jonathan Levine.
Thanks, Kirk. Let me say first off how much I admire the three organizations that put together this week. Ann Arbor is great. It's getting greater. And one of the reasons it's already gotten greater is because of people like you who've pulled this kind of action together. Greg talked about the comprehensive land use plan. One of the major directions of the comprehensive land use plan is to allow for increasing supplies of housing in Ann Arbor. I want to talk about why that's so important. One reason it's so important is sustainability. Cities, including Ann Arbor, are lower carbon zones, as you can see on this map. When you keep people out of lower carbon zones with density restrictions, you push them into higher carbon zones. Second reason is affordability. We can see experiences from other cities, including Minneapolis is what you see in this slide. In the next slide, you'll see a number of cities around the country have learned that when you increase housing supplies, you actually moderate or even in real terms decrease rents, increasing affordability. This contradicts the position of people who observe that new housing tends to be expensive, therefore it's not relevant. It is highly relevant to affordability. One of the major reasons that it's highly relevant to affordability is that cities are a huge game of musical chairs. If you were to take out housing, fewer people would have it. If you were to put in housing, more people would have it. And we know exactly who gets excluded when there's less housing. Lower income people, ethnic minorities who get pushed into long commutes have fewer opportunities. Second reason why housing is so important to affordability is the replacement phenomenon. When a small house gets replaced, as Greg pointed out, what's it going to get replaced with? Now our regulations generally say only with another single-family house equals that large house at the top. Affordability means a greater variety of houses. Third reason why new housing is so important with affordability. Remember, we have our affordability millage in Ann Arbor, 1/1000th of the taxable value. I did a comparison between my own single-family house and not far from here, Vic Village South. They pay 100 times what I pay per acre into the affordability millage. The next reason why about affordability, transportation is the second item in all of our budgets out beyond housing. What that means is you can't be affordable if you're too far because you're going to be spending a lot of time and money in transportation. Next reason, traffic danger / vision zero. The United States does very, very poorly when it comes to safety. We do very poorly when it comes to safety per million vehicle miles traveled, compared to our peer countries. And we do even worse when it comes to per 100,000 population because we drive so much. When we exclude people from high accessibility locations like Ann Arbor, we're pushing people into long distance travel, exposing them and us to greater traffic danger. Racial exclusion. It's crystal clear from the history what led to single-family zoning. It was a desire for racial exclusion. This is not to say that residents of single-family house are racist. They happen to be protected by an institution that was created for a very explicit purpose. It's not merely that it was created for that purpose, it continues to exacerbate racial segregation to this day. These are data from Los Angeles about the relationship between single-family zoning and racial exclusion, but you can see a whole lot more. One more point, fiscal sustainability. Density pays the bills. Sprawl is subsidized. It's not complicated. When you share the cost of infrastructure and services across more people, the cost per capita goes down. This is actually 180 degrees from the narrative that's often discussed. When I think about myself as a single-family homeowner in Ann Arbor, I have to acknowledge that I am a very, very privileged person. I'm going to be just fine. In fact, we're all going to be just fine. We can afford to say, welcome neighbor, neighbors for more neighbors. Thank you.